Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Akshay Masurekar, also known as Aki, the founder of Samaksh Holistic Wellness, and you're watching our first ever virtual conversation under Samvaad. What is Samvaad, you wonder? Samvaad is Samaksh's newly launched third vertical, focusing on fostering meaningful conversations for transformative thinking. And our topic under Samvaad's virtual conversation today is brand you. When I think of branding, the first image that comes to mind is that of the magnificent eagle. The eagle's reputation as a symbol of leadership and authority imparts valuable lessons for brand positioning and identity. So let's begin with an incredible story about the eagle. So, around the age of 40, the eagle faces a critical decision, enduring a painful process of transformation or accepting the end of its life. The transformation is grueling. The eagle retreats to a mountaintop, breaks off its beak against the rocks, plucks out its talons, and sheds its old feathers. You can imagine the agonizing journey it goes through. But after several months, the eagle emerges renewed, stronger, sharper, and ready to soar higher than ever before. This story is a powerful metaphor for building a personal brand because transformation demands courage and a willingness to let go of old habits, fears, and self doubt. It involves reshaping your identity and mastering the art of presenting yourself to the world with confidence and clarity. Only then can you rebuild yourself into a unique and authentic brand that stands out. So, to explore this transformative journey, I'm thrilled to bring together two seasoned leaders for Samvad Brand You. My first guest today is Lancy D'Souza. Lancy is a transformational and motivational speaker who helps leaders master the art of communication, public speaking, and personal reinvention. A distinguished Toastmaster and a successful leader from the airline industry, Lancy has a magnetic personality that inspires confidence. And I have the privilege of being his mentee. I remember meeting Lancy for the first time in April 2022 when I joined Toastmasters. His supportive demeanor and knack for pushing you to do your best make him a truly inspirational leader. As a motivational speaker, keynote speaker, and grow more coach, Lancy has influenced countless lives, helping individuals overcome their fears and embrace their true potential. Over the last 20 years, he has mentored numerous clubs and schools in Saudi Arabia, leaving a legacy of empowered individuals in his wake. Wow, that's some introduction. Now, coming to my second guest for today, that's Avinash Mathias. Avinash is a brand management expert known for his expertise in personal branding, leadership, and marketing. With a passion for empowering individuals and businesses to unlock their full potential, Avinash combines innovative strategies with actionable insights to create lasting impact. His approachable style and results driven mindset have earned him a reputation as a digital wizard. Avinash has inspired countless individuals to stand out and achieve their goals in today's competitive world, making him a sought after expert in the field. Wow, lovely, Avinash. So, ladies and gentlemen, what's in store for you? Together, Lancy and Avinash will share their invaluable insights on personal transformation and brand building. I bet you'll discover how to sharpen your communication skills as a tool for personal transformation, steps to redefine your identity and establish a strong, authentic personal brand, and how to align your inner potential with your external brand identity to make a lasting impact. So, tune in to this engaging conversation to learn how to transform, grow, and build a powerful brand called you, just like the eagle. Wow. That's a very long monologue. I believe I must have beat Karthik Aryan at his game here. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Right. But before we jump into our samvad today, Lancy and Avinash, do either of you have any thoughts or insights to share to kick things off? Over to you.
Firstly, Akshay, thank you so much for the introduction and for inviting me and Lancy as well. Have a conversation on brand you.
Yeah,
The first ever podcast on Samvad, right? I think what we will have a discussion would be very fruitful in terms of, what is it that people can gauge? What
absolutely.
is it that people will have to think about when they hear the conversation? Realign themselves and drive themselves with a purpose. That's something that is what we are hoping to have as a
Yeah,
conversation in today's talk. And it is a great opportunity for me as well to hear a lot from Lancy, who has been a veteran in the industry and has, worked with brands, not just in India, but also international as well, to get the understanding and experience in terms of what was his journey like and what are his learnings as well. Definitely going to have that implemented in some way or the other in the way I work as well for my
absolutely.
brands. And looking forward for this conversation for the next one
Absolutely.
hour. Yeah.
Thanks, Avinash. I think the words that stood out for me, as always, is realignment.
Yeah.
Over to you, Lancy.
Yeah, and Avinash, I'm glad that he talked about the brand part of it. Technically speaking, all of us are brand masters in some way or the other. It's the way that we inculcate ourselves. The one thing that is striking, and it's been always been in my life, it says the best way to define yourself or redefine at any given stage of your life is to lose yourself in the service of others.
Yeah,
And in doing so, you establish your territory and you establish your brand.
absolutely.
Over to you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lancy. And that takes me to my first conversation I had with you in April 2022, because this was the same thing that you had told me that, when you are in front of people, when you're sharing your insights, you're there to share the insights, but you're there to lose yourself and just be a part of the crowd there. So thank you for those insights, Lancy and Avinash. Now we begin with our journey of how people can transform and create their personal branding. So, Lancy, let's begin with you. Your journey from leading operations in the aviation industry to becoming a motivational speaker is remarkable. So, how did you align your personal intent with your professional journey to craft your unique personal brand?
My journey started almost 28 years ago. Alongside being the airport services manager for Emirates Airline and running a station in Saudi Arabia, I was also working out in the Toastmasters fraternity. The best way of explaining that is in storytelling. And I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm testimony to what happened. This is about 28 years ago. I was at a party in Saudi Arabia, and sitting with me is Christine Pereira. I was introduced to her, and she happens to be a Toastmaster. And she said, Nancy, what do you do? And I said, I'm the airport services manager for Emirates Airline in Saudi Arabia. She says, it's good. So you probably have a lot of problems with your passengers. I said, yes. So I think you should join Toastmasters. And I said, Toastmasters, is that an organization where you toast? She says, yeah, maybe that's your perception, but I think you should come in there. You see, you've got problems with your passengers. You've got a lot of communication and leadership program. Maybe it'll help you with your body language when you handle passengers. And I thought to myself, okay, what's in it for me? I might as well give it a try. And I landed up at the first meeting, uh, I was pretty intrigued with the proceedings of a great organization called Toastmasters International. After the third meeting, I was inducted, which is the status quo in Toastmasters. Now, I was giving a speech, and I'm standing at the podium. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech. It says, get to the point. And I was talking about giraffes in Africa. All of a sudden, the podium had a bit of a problem. The gavel fell all the way across the side of the podium onto the tile floor. There was a thud. I went into a mental block. As much as I couldn't get over to the next sentence. I got back to my chair sheepishly. And this is what happened. Christine, who was sitting behind, tapped at my shoulder and said, Lancy, would you like to try your speech again? Now, there's a great quote which says, don't wait for an opportunity, create it. And I believe 28 years ago, I created that subconsciously. And I said, yeah, okay, Christine, I'll do that. After all the speakers had spoken, I was invited again to the podium. This time, I sailed through. Of course, I was not in the uh, contest for qualification or being a judge as the best speaker.
Mm.
But this is what happened out there. My first lesson that I learned 28 years ago is respect begets respect. When was the last time someone gave you a second chance in your life? When was the last time I remember I gave someone a second chance? Second chances don't come in. A great organization like Toastmasters gave me that afternoon a second chance 28 years ago. I grabbed that second chance. And I realized that this is an organization that just does not equate with your status in society. It is a common ground for everyone, whether you're a CEO or director, or even a clerk. Respect is the one thing I learned that afternoon. And that I was able to align with my job at the airport as airport services manager, where I realized that a passenger, irrespective of caste, creed, or religion, or whatever nationality, maybe a housemaid, or it could be a director, or it could be a billionaire. The one thing that I learned there to align myself is the reason for my work and my staff work is because of them. And that's where the word respect comes in. I'm testimony to that. And that was the first lesson I got. And I aligned myself from Toastmasters onto my workplace, which is the airport. And I'm sure a lot of people who will be listening to this will understand respect begets respect. Over to you.
Absolutely, Nancy. I loved it. Respect begets respect. And what stands out for me is I've seen Lancy in action. He's obviously a legend when it comes to public speaking, and someone like Lancy going through that mental block, creating a second opportunity. So this is a story for people to learn and create an opportunity for themselves. Thank you, Lancy. With that, I think taking the conversation further, I'm moving over to Avinash, where we're trying to connect, transformation with personal branding. So, as someone who has worked with brands at a macro level, Avinash, how does the concept of intent translate to building a brand that resonates deeply with audiences, be it personal or corporate?
Been in the industry now for 13 years, right? And I started off working as, a client servicing manager and corporate communications for traditional marketing. And then suddenly there was this wave of digital that entered our country. But at that time there were platforms like an Orkut that was introduced,
Yes.
right? And then that's how the digital wave came in. But people are forgetting that digital was always there.
Mm.
Your television set was your digital medium at that time,
Yeah.
where you were getting news and information, right? Now, when you speak about intent also, it does not only relate to brand building.
Mm.
Intent is the cornerstone for any activity that you do,
Correct.
whether it is digital, whether it is brand building, whether it is offline, whether it is even running a beauty salon, right?
Absolutely.
Intent is very important. Now, I have worked with brands across the industries, whether you are a startup, a micro brand, macro, or a big brand. I have worked with brands across, and I thank God for it and my stars for the kind of, and my managers for the kind of brands I have worked with, right from a startup brand to a McDonald's, to a Diageo. I have worked with these brands and I've helped understand, I've helped them understand what is it that we can do for digital platforms
Mm.
as long as the intent is very clear. Like I said, intent is very important, whether you're doing a brand building initiative or whether you're doing like just a promotion initiative. Now, with the intent, you need to ensure that you have to answer all the WH questions before you put your energies into something.
Yeah.
And in all the WH questions, the question why is very important, because until unless you do not know why do you want to build a brand or why do you want to start a business, you will not be able to understand the brand's existence. What are the actions that you need to drive? What is the messaging you want to build out, right? That is very important. Hence, when you ask the question about, what is it that intent plays a role when it comes to brand building,
Mm.
I don't restrict it only to a brand building initiative, like Lancy's experience as well, right? When he fumbled due to some accident that took place, and when he sat back, the person who tapped his shoulder saying that, do you want a second chance, understood the intent, right? Understood that why Lancy was there. Lancy's perception about Toastmasters was, before entering the club, is it something that we should toast about,
Mm.
right? But when he entered, when he stepped in, when he was inducted, he understood. Like he said, second chances are not just given. You have to earn them. What happened with him was a mishap. Was it in his control? No. But when the second chance was given to him, was that in his control to make it his only chance? Absolutely.
Mm.
Similarly, even for brands, now because of digital platforms, there's a lot that is open to us.
Correct. Absolutely.
Now, how a brand wants to translate their communication, it completely depends on the brand person, for which brands have to intelligently select the right candidate who can help take that vision ahead. And the best example of any brand that I have done my case studies when I was doing my MBA was Coca-Cola. And till today, I think Coca-Cola does the best brand building initiatives, not just in the US market, but keeping in mind every geographical location that they are present.
Correct.
And the second brand that I look at is McDonald's.
Yeah.
They understand what every region is all about, and that's how they cater. Why do people choose a McDonald's over a Burger King? Burger King runs amazing, what do you say, offers. KFC runs amazing offers,
Correct.
but people still go to a McDonald's
Yeah. There's a deep connect there.
because there is a credibility that the brand has built over the period of time.
Right. Right.
The intent was very pure.
Mm.
I don't know whether many people who are listening to us, I'm sure, they may be aware, but McDonald's is the only brand in India that has a pure veg joint in Haridwar.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A pure veg joint
Okay.
in Haridwar. Why? Because they know that people over there are vegetarians. It's a place of devotion. It's a
Mm.
place where people from all over the world come and to pray. The intent was clear. Can people leave McDonald's and go and have a chole bhature? Absolutely.
Mm.
But when I have like an international brand, when I know that hygiene standards are maintained,
Right.
I know that this brand relates to me, it's pocket friendly. Why not go there? People also resonate with the brand because the intent was very clear.
Mm.
Brands, when they have that intent, right, as a foundation, the purpose is defined,
Mm.
which helps you to build authentic and alignment with your audiences.
Yes,
Because consistency is key when you want to have intent.
absolutely.
Also, whatever content you're creating, whether it is your McDonald's, whether it is a Cadbury, whether it is a Coca-Cola, they ensure that the content is around the audience.
Mm.
Because if I do not understand my audience, what is the content am I putting out there?
Right.
How is my intent going to be translated? It's very important to understand that there has to be an emotional appeal. You are living in a country with billions of people who only run their households on finance and emotion. When it comes to brand building, only two things work. Either
Right.
you show a pet in any commercial or you have a strong emotional appeal. Once you do any of these two, the brand is yours.
Correct.
People resonate to you as a brand. Whatever decisions, and whatever actions that every brand takes, the intent has to be very clear because you are creating a map. You are planning a journey in terms of how do you want to get the audience to be your loyalist.
Mm.
And this helps in maintaining the longevity.
Right.
So this is why I feel that whether you're a startup, whether you're a mega brand, intent is very important. It lays the foundation for you for getting that loyal fans feeling.
Right.
And this is what I've been applying to all my brands. I give them a very simple example. I say, if you want to become a McDonald's or you want to become a Coca-Cola,
Mm.
you need to ensure that your intent is clear. You need to understand your audience, what they are looking for. If you do not understand them and you're just pushing out content because you want to get sales, it's not going to work
Mm.
because digital as a platform can make you or can break you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Avinash, for getting us closer to the brands. And going back to your points about the WH questions, I absolutely resonate with it. And it begins with who, right? Who are you? Before you get to the why, who are you? What is it that you want to achieve, and why do you want to achieve that?
And how,
And how?
people
Yes.
always forget the word how because they
How?
feel
Yes.
WH is, who, what, where, why, and when.
Yes.
But the question how
How?
is something that once you answer the question of why is when you will derive to a how,
Correct. Absolutely.
right? Similarly for
Absolutely.
your brand SAMVAAD as well, right?
Yeah.
Now, why do you want to create a platform is something that you need to be sure about. You need to
Absolutely.
have a defined purpose for people to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And going back to your story about Coke or even McDonald's, there is obviously I can again connect it back to what Lancy had said at the start, which is lose yourself in the service of others. And perhaps I think that's what the brands are doing. And it's not just about building the brands, not just about sustaining the brand, but with sustaining the brand comes humility. And that's where I would want to go to my next question, which is, as I said, personal branding or branding often revolves around creating an impact, which is what we've heard from you about those big brands that they've created. So, in your opinion, how can individuals stay humble while building a powerful brand? And why is humility, according to you, a cornerstone of authentic personal branding?
So, Akshay, in this question, you have added layers of questions in
Yes.
this when I was
Yes.
going through the questions as well.
Yeah.
Now, I will answer this if you don't mind, I'll answer this in three parts.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Now, when you say that for building a personal brand, to have that impact, one needs to be humble, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to be humble because it is not only possible to be humble, but it is also important for your long-term success.
Yeah.
For long-term success, you need to be humble, you need to be authentic. Okay. Now, humility grounds, a personal brand. It grounds the relatability aspect.
Mm.
And when I say grounds, I'm saying humility is the foundation over here. It is a foundation for a personal brand because it makes the personal brand relatable, trustworthy, and enduring. Now, if I remove humility from this, everything will collapse.
Correct.
Humility, I think people misuse the word a lot nowadays. That no, I have everything open, that means I'm humble. It's not that. Humility takes time to build. You know that, like they say, the Taj Mahal was not built in one day. It takes time to build, right? Even humility, the same thing. If I am not able to resonate with a brand, why will I go to a brand? There are so many dupes that are available in the market as well, right? Like you have all these big brands. You have a Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Calvin Klein. There are dupes also available.
Right.
Now, will I resonate with a brand that I don't, what do you say, relate to? No. Similarly, it is very important for my brand to understand the audience that I'm talking to. Now, again, this answer is relating to the first question that I answered.
It's the intent.
Right? It's the intent. That focus on serving others, which Lancy said at the start of the conversation. Brand is not just about building yourself. It also is a journey of how you want to serve others and make others feel that there is an opportunity for them. Right? So, in order to stay humble while building your brand, you need to ensure that, yes, I am creating a brand with a purpose of solving or serving others, their problems, what problems they have. I'm trying to solve that. Also, the journey. Don't just mention the pros of the journey. You need to emphasize the entire journey, whether there are pros, there are cons. It needs to be transparent. Also, whatever you're trying to create, you need to ensure that there is authenticity for you to engage with your audience. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You need to give credit during your journey to those who need that credit. You, being a founder of SAMVAAD, you cannot build SAMVAAD on your own. Correct? You need me and Lancy also to help you push it out. Similar, you'll be needing Samira's help to help you motivation in terms of pushing that content out there, getting ideas from her, right? You need to give that credit to people. You need to also be curious about what is happening in the industry. Why are these trends suddenly coming out? What is the latest technology that's coming, right? That willingness to learn needs to always be there.
Correct.
And you need to also let your work speak for itself. When I say work speak for itself, I don't mean you to be pompous about it. But like Coca-Cola, for example, and I'm using the example of Coke.
No, go ahead.
That's a brand, that's my childhood brand that I've always wanted to work for. Unfortunately, I couldn't work for this brand. But why I relate to Coca-Cola is because of the kind of content they create. That willingness to learn that I mentioned and being curious, they have understood every geographical locations. No matter what people said, there are pesticides, there is sugar, it's not good for your health. They don't care. I am not here to quench your thirst. I am here to put a smile on your face. That's why they say always Coca-Cola. For any occasion, always Coca-Cola. There are so many other brands that are available. But why am I saying only Coca-Cola? Because Coca-Cola is not here to quench your thirst. Coca-Cola is here to just spread that smile across your face. Like it's an emotion. They have hit on it. Now, while Coca-Cola has done that, they have always laid emphasis on humility in terms of, how they're building themselves. They have built trust. Because for humility to be a cornerstone in anyone's life, there needs to be trust built. There needs to be that relatability has to be enhanced even further. Just because you've done a content, okay, I support LGBTQI, you've put one post on it. It doesn't stop there. You have to keep building. You have to keep looking more content, right? You need to encourage long-term associations rather than short-term. Because once you create short-term associations, your community or your fan following will fall down. You need to promote authenticity rather than forced fit. You need to allow growth for yourself. Otherwise, it's all going to fall down. And also, you know, humility is not going to diminish you as a brand
Mm.
or your power. It will only amplify you as a person or a brand.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel that, people only are able to connect with brands who are real, who are
Mm.
grounded, and who are invested in serving others.
Yeah.
Hence, humility is a very important aspect when it comes to brand building, along with intent.
Yes, it is. It is. Thanks, Avinash. And I would want to build upon, the aspect, the point of curiosity, because through Samaksh, that is something that I focus on. Um, uh, Curiosity leads to clarity, but there is a lot of confusion, today, and confusion leads to chaos. So through Samaksh, my intent is to help people to move away from chaos to clarity, and that happens only when you become curious about yourself. Where are you stuck? Why are you stuck? And Samvad obviously is a platform where I get leaders like you, like Lancy and others, to share their stories, to share their insights, that enables people to transform their thinking and keep walking on the path they are meant to be. And your aspect on being humble, that I completely agree with you, because that is the base of building your personal brand, because humility again leads to being authentic, as you said, and being authentic is what we as humans need to do, right? Because that's the core energy that we have. and
Absolutely,
and
Akshay.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Because, like you said, curious is being inquisitive,
yeah,
Now, curiosity is because you have clarity,
right,
right? Now, those who don't have clarity and it leads to confusion is because their intent is not sorted in their
yeah,
mind,
absolutely,
right? Uh, Even I get a lot of brands that I work with in terms of strategy, and there is a lot of confusion in terms of what will work for me to get more
mm,
sales,
mm,
what will work for me to get more traction,
yeah,
how can I be a leader in the line of competition that I am, right?
yeah,
Now,
right,
that can only come when you are experimenting.
yeah,
If you do not experiment and you want to follow one path that you've been following for 10 years,
mm,
it is going to give you the same result what you've been getting for 10 years.
yeah,
So, and the best examples are those brands who used to do traditional marketing and now have transformed to digital. What they used to earn as 10x, now because of digital amplification and being authentic and clarity in thought process,
mm,
their same brands are earning
yeah,
20x of what they used to earn earlier. So that intent is very important for you to be humble so
yeah,
that there is a good journey. Like I said, the journey is all about pros and cons. It's not just pros. You
right.
need to highlight, you need to reflect. If you do not reflect, how are you going to improve?
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. And which is why I think now I'm kind of taking this conversation more towards the energy, because we are all energy beings, right? Curiosity has its own positive energy. Uh, your clarity has a positive energy, and confusion or anxiety have its own negative energy, right? And we need to tap into the energies. So that brings me to my next question for Lancy. So Lancy, as a seasoned leader and facilitator, how can individuals tap into their ability to connect with the energy of those around them, to navigate, say, challenging conversations or confusing conversations with finesse, and how can they foster trust effectively?
All right, I'll take a cue from what Avinash said the last few minutes about the humility part of it, because that's a great factor
Hmm.
in as far as communication and leadership is concerned, absolutely spot on. Let me explain. Way back in 1997, I think, yeah, I attended my first regional conference for Emirates Airline at my headquarters in Dubai. But 2 days prior to that, my regional manager, SK Banerjee, called me up on the phone and said, Lancy, I want you to do the address for the Middle East and Africa region. Now, I belong to the Middle East region. And I said, you must be joking because I've just joined and I've just hardly 2 years. You've got a whole lot of seasoned people ahead of me. And the one thing he said, Lancy, I believe in you. Now, that word belief is absolutely profound. And when somebody says that to you, you realize that there are a lot of expectations. So I worked that evening, and 2 days later, I flew down for the conference. Now, it's a 2-day conference. On the first day, after the proceedings, I sat down with him and we went through my script. He says, oh, it's a lovely script, etc. He did give me some of his pointers because he's obviously much more experienced than me. I had just finished off 2 years in Emirates Airline. Now, the next day at the regional conference, when they announced my name and I walked across on the dais, and I spoke for a couple of minutes about our region, the Middle East and the African region. Now, during lunchtime, I had a whole lot of the airport managers, other than, including the Middle East and Africa region, but I had from Europe region and the US and etc. A lot of them came and said, Lancy, how did you wing it? I said, do what? He says, you're just here for 2 years, right? So how did you get that? And I said, Mr. Banerjee believed in me. And I said, I couldn't let him down. And that's where I realized that there's a lot of humility that works out in the leadership. And a lot of people forget that. And I believe, Avinash, if you would echo with me my sentiments, that that is also the cornerstone of what goes out in branding. Am I right? When that comes out, people understand that it's a great brand. So as much as McDonald's, as much as Coca-Cola, Emirates Airline is iconic today. It's the number 4th on the planet when it comes into the aviation one. And all of us have been groomed up to be ambassadors for that now. Although I've retired, but I still, heart and soul, a major part of Emirates Airline, and I fly out on Emirates Airline. That afternoon, when Mr. S.K. Banerjee believed in me and I delivered the good, I realized the integrity of the man. Being absolutely a rank newcomer, just a second year in operations, whilst he had on his team much more experienced people than that, and he believed in me. The integrity of the man is that he did not undermine my ability to deliver the goods. How often we follow into the trap when we have to delegate work and we have this illusion, oh, that person can't deliver the goods, and you undermine that ability. Am I right, Avinash?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're so guilty of that at that point of time because of prejudices, perceptions, pretensions. And so humility is thrown out of the window, forget the integrity part of it, and the loose talk about your ethics and morals just goes down the drain. It's a complete sham. And that's where you realize that you're just building up something that is so superficial, cosmetic, and commercial, and people can smell it a mile far.
Yeah.
The genuineness, the genuineness of the brand is the intent that it's believable. There's a lot of trust. Most importantly, it's a humble brand. And of course, there's a lot of integrity. And that is my lesson, which I took the integrity part of it. So when I took it across to my workplace at Dammam Airport in Saudi Arabia, dealing out with my staff, because we have a huge ground handling agent. And whenever we had meetings, and I had the ground handling agent staff, including the supervisors and the managers walking in for meetings, there was always this thing at the back of my mind. I cannot undermine someone's ability in that room because I've just finished 2 years and I need to understand the modalities of what it works. I'm not supposed to know everything in there, but I can learn a lot of stuff, short corners, quick steps. And these people who are there are part of a team. And I have learned that with a lot of integrity and humility, working as a team player, irrespective of what your status is,
Yeah.
that is the cutting edge that you get. And when people trust in you, you are a brand. And I am a brand at that point of time when I do not undermine anyone's ability in that room. Accept it. Maybe some of them could be hollow. Maybe it does not stand to reason. But with that integrity comes in the deeper understanding, say, well, to have a win-win situation, I guess you have a point. Now, whether I take that home or not is a different thing.
Yeah.
In that room, it resonates with that particular person. It says, wow. And that person is on seventh heaven saying, like, I actually said something in the room. So, with humility and integrity, we give people in that room a chance to express themselves. We give them a voice.
Yeah.
And I think that's what brands do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They let people. So, if I have to have a voice in promoting Coca-Cola, I need to believe that myself. Does it work for me?
Correct.
Only then I'm able to convey, and it works on emotional quotient today. This emotional quotient far supersedes intelligent quotient.
Yeah.
Because when I have a room full of supervisors and managers, operation managers in that room, giving them a voice, and as I've said, not undermining their ability at that point of time, the one thing that really comes clear to them is that there is a lot of trust, and I'm more than willing to work for you because you've respected me and you've accepted my ideas at some point of time. It's complex, it's simple, but eventually it's your sixth sense that sets you into that room.
Correct.
And in building up that brand, Avinash, I think you would agree that no matter what happens, anything that is commercial and cosmetic just does not work. Maybe for a little while, it wears down.
Absolutely.
True, true. It does wear down, like you said, right? If you have that intent, right? If you have that humbleness in terms of having that communicated
Right.
to the followers or to your end users, it does sustain. Hence, I keep saying that every brand needs to think from a long-term perspective.
Correct.
You cannot keep having your visions change.
Mm.
You know, a lot of brands nowadays, they like to set short-term objectives. Their goals also have become like quarterly goal campaigns. And now it's termed as campaign structure.
Mm.
What used to be known as a year-long plan for a brand, when the plan is all about sustenance, it's all about understanding, it's all about provision. Now it's become like a quarterly approach.
Yeah.
And quarterly approaches don't work because they are all seasonal.
Yeah.
Lancy mentioned that giving people voices so that they can express themselves. Absolutely right. You never know, the talents that are there in the room can come from the junior level as well.
Right.
In terms of building that up, in terms of building that thought process, that one confidence that Lancy's supervisor, Mr. Banerjee, had in him, and then he said, and then someone questioned that how come you have got that responsibility? His answer was very simple, that he trusts me.
Right.
And that's why it went ahead, right? I think that is something what brands, like Lancy said, whether it is a cosmetic brand, it fades off. Absolutely, it fades off because that trust aspect is not being there. Because of the clutter that's there now in the market. The trust factor is not there now for consumers. It's like, I'll use a word that Akshay has said, it has become chaos.
Yeah.
Because everyone is confused.
Correct.
What do I look at? What do I buy? Where do I go?
Yeah.
Like I said, like a McDonald's, there is a Burger King now available. There is a Biggie's burger that's coming. There are so many joints coming. Where do I go? How do I stay there? How do I be relevant? That is something what brands need to answer now.
Yeah.
They need to think their strategies. I think long ago, that one brand who was so humble, and had accepted the flaw
Mm.
and repurposed their production
Right.
was Cadbury.
Mm.
When they came out, there was a news that there were worms found in the chocolates
Yeah.
from the manufacturing unit itself.
Right.
They thought about it. They did not stop production. What did they do? They enhanced their packaging from just being a thin foil to having double protection.
Mm.
They are perishable items.
Yeah.
If kept in an area which is exposed to sunlight, it's bound to decay. There is a shelf life to everything.
Yeah.
There is an expiration date to everything. What they did is they addressed the problem. They came up with a solution. Now, who is going to voice the solution? It couldn't be one of them, because then they would have allegations that अरे ये तो कंपनी का आदमी है,
Correct.
ये तो बोलेगा ही.
Mm.
Who they roped in? Amitabh Bachchan.
Mm.
They used his credibility to convey to the audiences. And at that time, Amitabh Bachchan was at peak when it came to endorsing brands. He could have easily said, no, I will not do it. My name is coming online. It is my reputation at stake. I will not do it. But he understood the intent of the brand.
Yeah.
He saw the legacy the brand built. He saw that it is not just another option to fill your hunger pangs.
Mm.
No. Cadbury never claimed that I'm here to fill you with food and give you, keep you away from hunger. No, it was an emotion.
Yes. Yes.
What they did is they understood the emotion. They roped in the right persona who could take that emotion, speak to the audience, and get the credibility back. And boom,
Mm.
Cadbury in that particular year was sold in every stall for every occasion.
Yeah.
The synonym for Cadbury is Amitabh Bachchan now.
Mhm. Yes.
That's the magic what the brand did. Are brands doing it in today's time? There are a few brands.
Correct.
Now, in this whole world of paraben-free, organic, do we really believe that brands are going organic?
Mm. Believing.
We don't know. Has anyone come up with certificates saying that my product is animal cruelty free or my product is 100% vegan? By putting it on the bottle, you are endorsing your brand.
Correct.
But are you actually getting your scientific laboratory tested
Are you
people
practicing
come and
it?
talk?
Yes.
Right.
Makes
So
sense.
hence, why I agreed with Lancy is that short-term vision has to get off. It has to be that long-term
Yeah.
vision that needs to come
Yeah.
in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Avinash. I'll go back to what Lancy had said, because I found those two words really powerful, which is I believe, right? And as Uncle Ben from Spider-Man says, I would want to tweak his dialogue, which is with belief comes power, and with power comes responsibility, and building a brand is obviously a responsibility, because when your intent is to create a trustworthy brand, it begins from you. So while you get the power when people say I believe in you, what we need to move towards is I believe in me, because believing is breathing, and that's what I teach through Samaksh, which is breathing is believing, right? And what holds back our belief is our fears, and it's time for us to throw fear out of the window. And I think we've been talking a lot of lovey-dovey soft things, and now I would want to perhaps change the tone slightly, uh, as you can say, disrupting the flow. See, Avinash, I use the word disruption because disruption is one of my pet peeves. And the corporate world often associates success with competition and disruption. Oh, we've disrupted, we are here to disrupt everything. So, Avinash, what's your take on the idea of disruption in branding? Should we shift the narrative to something more constructive? Because I would personally want this word out of the window, just like I want fear and anxiety out of the window.
Firstly, why do you have a problem with the word disruption?
It comes with some negative connotation, is what I feel. Disruption. I mean, it's like you're not here to disrupt things. Yeah, you're here
Because
to
what
create.
the
You're here
reason
to
I'm
build.
asking is because what you are doing is also disruption, right?
I mean, in a way, I'm getting people to move away from fear and anxiety
But
and getting
again,
closer to their own self. So,
absolutely. And see, what you think about disruption is your perception,
absolutely.
right? What I think about disruption is my perception. What Lancy may think of disruption is his perception.
Right.
Is any one of us correct? No. Now, why do I say that? Is because, you know, very casually people use the word disruption.
Hmm.
Just like very casually people say, I'm depressed,
Yeah.
right?
Glad you said that. Yes.
Uh, it has become, the word disruption has become a very, I would say it is just, a buzzword right now. Like you
Mm.
said, brands come in that I will disrupt this, I will do this, I will do this, I'm trying to bring a change. Again, with short-term vision, you can't bring change,
Yeah.
right? For me, disruption, yes, there is a negative connotation where I'm trying to disrupt the entire world. I'm trying to create a war and use my missiles. That is one angle of disruption.
Mm.
The other is, what am I doing different?
Mm.
What am I doing, unique as compared to my competitors? Now, even I was like you, Akshay, where I was against this word.
Yeah, okay.
I've been working on a project for my
Mm.
company,
Mm.
where I am the entire project lead.
Mm.
We have a show which we have created, and the show is called The Great Indian Disruptors. It's on Disney Hotstar.
Okay.
Now, again, when we came up with this thought and the name of this show, we first asked people in our office,
Mm.
do you like the word disruption? We had some 10 names for the show title, but somehow we resonated with the brand, the show name, The Great Indian Disruptors. Now, what we wanted to do through this show is we wanted to change people's perception about this word. People like you, who have a perception about what the word disruption is,
Mm.
a negative connotation,
Yeah.
right? Hence, you want to take it off your dictionary.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't look at it like that.
Mm.
For me, disruption is the kind of unique positioning
Right.
you have created
Correct.
in the industry you're catering to. That journey, like I said, your pros and cons, an entire journey.
Yeah.
That is what you need to tell the world. That, people start a company not because they wanted to. अरे पापा के पास बहुत पैसा है, तो let me start a company. No.
Mm. Right.
They have, every entrepreneur has started their journey because they couldn't get solutions to the questions that they were asking.
Yeah.
Right? And I have come across so many brands like this in my conversations with them in terms of explaining to them what the show is about. And this is what I've heard from them, that they have a voice, they have their journey.
Mm.
But do they really think of sharing their marketing journey or their journey through a marketing medium? Not really. Because, like I said, every brand is in a rat race right now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to come first. But I think brands need to sit, take a step back, look at their journey in terms of how their journey has been in ups and downs, what is it that they have created and how they have created, right?
Mm.
Because disruption is not just a journey which talks the business numbers. Disruption also talks with the way of culture building.
Yeah. Okay.
How you have built a culture in your company, how you are taking your team together to take that vision ahead. Because while the founders of every company, they set a vision, can they work alone on the vision?
Mm.
No, they need to have a team.
Right.
Every company's success lies in the culture of that company, which comes from top to bottom.
Right.
It cannot be the reverse way.
Yeah.
We are not living in a world of avatars where water flows the opposite direction, right?
Mm.
It is a waterfall effect, and that is what I feel the word disruption is all about. It cannot just talk about, what a brand has been doing so far. Why is it that my product is different? It can't just, like I said, it can't just be like a short-term focus.
Yeah.
It has to have a long-term perspective.
Mm.
You need to have that. Now, Do I want to have a shift? Or if I think that, should there be a shift from disruption to contribution? Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to focus a lot on problem solving methods and not problem creating methods.
Yeah.
When you're in this journey, you need to build a lot of empathy and collaboration rather than reject people. You have to take in mind the feedbacks that you're getting, not just from one person in the office, but also consumers, also communities.
Agree.
You need to have that. You have to have your prioritization of sustainability over sensation.
Mm.
Because in today's time, sustainability is key. You are living in a world of Gen Zs and Gen Alphas and Betas that are coming in. And this generation is all about sustainability.
Yeah.
They don't care about sensation news. It was us millennials, Gen X and Y, who thought about sensation.
Yeah.
Sustainability is something that Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are looking into now. And that's why every company is looking at a CSR initiative for them.
Yeah.
That is disruption now.
Correct.
How are you standing out amongst your competitors? You need to talk about stories of empowerment. You cannot just talk about, stories that are just about brand services or about the product USPs. No. If your product has made a change, you need to talk about it. That's why a brand like Dove, why do they do well? They don't have even one famous face for them.
Correct.
They use their audiences, they use real people.
Yeah.
They use real textures of people, whether you're fat, thin, black, white, Hispanic, everyone is involved in a Dove brand.
Yeah.
And if you see all their commercials, it's all about inclusivity.
Correct.
You need to ensure that you are trying to foster loyalty and trust amongst the people. And that's what Dove as a brand does. And disruption is all about innovation. There is no imitation in disruption. If you're imitating another brand, then it's time to say bye. Because it's not going to help you out.
Correct.
And hence, I love the word disruption because I feel that, it challenges brands. It challenges you as a person. Like, if I want to start something on my own tomorrow, which I think I've spoken to you, Akshay, I don't want to start a business what everyone is doing. I want to use my, my USPs. I want to use my knowledge. I want to get it together and create that brand.
Yeah.
I'm sure Lancy also will have his thoughts in terms of disruption, and I would love to hear from him because while I know Akshay that you have your, your thoughts for disruption, which is not a very good thing. I hope this changes your mind
It
little
has,
bit.
it has.
But I would like to also hear from Lancy that is he pro disruption or against disruption?
Against disruption. Yes, Lancy, and then I'll give my thoughts on it.
Yeah, interestingly, I believe I experienced disruption, but you guys can then figure it out, okay? In hindsight, that was in 2009, I think. Yeah, I was in Saudi Arabia. We've got this Indian embassy school. It's got a staggering number of students, totaling almost like 23,000 under one roof. The largest, of course, is in Riyadh with about 25,000. I'm not sure what it is today on present day. Now, Tasneem, who happens to be a Toastmaster, is also the principal of the junior school at the Indian Embassy.
Okay.
There's a girls section and there's a boys section. Now, it happened to be a Thursday morning, and Tasneem had talked to the principal, Mr. Anwar. The school was organizing a debate. So they had shortlisted 6 girls and 6 boys from grade 8, 9th, and 10th. So total, there were 12 students.
Yeah.
Now, judges had to now shortlist 3 from each section and send them to the next round, which is Pan Saudi Arabia, and compete with the Indian Embassy School in Riyadh, in Jeddah. Tasneem talked to the principal, Mr. Anwar, and said, we've got a Toastmaster, a distinguished Toastmaster. Lancy D'Souza, and can we invite him as a judge? He said, yes. He called me up and he says, I'd love to see you. I drove down from my place on that morning. It took me about 12 minutes with just one signal, and I landed up, parked my car in the premises, walked across the corridor, landed up at the reception desk, introduced myself, and she said, oh, yeah, Mr. D'Souza, they're expecting you in the principal's room. I walked across to the office, and as I was nearing it, I could hear a lot of voices. I opened the door, entered into the room. Mr. Anwar stood up and said, introduced me to all the other people. Now, in that room, Aki and Avinash, all of them are educationists.
Yeah.
I am the only non-educationist person there. I'm from the airline industry. So the first thing in their mind is, who's this person who's come in here? This is an education fraternity. What does he have to do as an airport services manager? And he introduced me and said, this is one of the judges. Now, there were three judges. One is Mr. Donald, who happens to be the dean of the Dhahran American, the American school.
Right.
Mrs. Ansari happens to be the resident professor at King Fahad University of Petroleum and Minerals.
Right.
And the third is me. We walk down the corridor. The principal takes us into the multi-purpose hall where the debate is to be conducted. That houses around 5,000 students. It's chock-a-block. A whole lot of education in the room, a whole lot of teachers. Three judges. So I have on my extreme right, it's Mr. Donald. In the center is Mrs. Ansari. And in the left corner, facing the stage, it's me sitting down in there. The 12 contestants spoke their heart out. The girls, hands down, they were so...
Well, we can't hear you, Lancy.
Exercise was really engaging, interesting. The whole 9 yards of what education is all about. Youngsters with voices, speaking out. It's their prime light, under the sun, the moon, the stars. Everything went in there. So traditionally, Tasneem comes up on stage as the junior principal, and then she requests each judge to come in and talk about what they felt, the caliber of the students, etc. First, Mr. Donald was introduced, the dean of the Dhahran American Academy School. He's been there for the last 7 years. Now, see, I'm the elephant in the room because I'm a non-educationist person, correct?
Yeah.
That's my first time. Mr. Donald has been there for the last 7 years. So obviously, when he walks up, people know him. The kids know him because they've gone and graduated in classes, and the claps come in, and the whole room is resonating with the clap.
Right.
Second, he takes about 3 minutes, I would think so, comes back. Everything is fine. I love the kids. Oh, they were so good. And the girls, the boys, and they're such creative minds, the whole necessary stuff that you talk about.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ansari is there. Oh, she gets a louder clap because she's the sweetheart, walks up and everybody nods her and all the teachers were clapping her. And she spoke for about 3 or 4 minutes and she came down in there. I'm the disruptor, I would think so. Non-educationist, the elephant in the room. What the hell is he doing? Who's this particular person in here? What does he have to do with that in there? And that also debates in there. And as I walked up, I mean, I wish 5.5 people, more than 5.5 people would clap for me because, see, I'm the disruptor. They don't know me. The status quo is, I'm not in the scheme of things. So as I walk up, I hear just like 5 people clapping, 5,000 people. That also staggered. But I looked heavenwards, Aki. I looked I have to tell you that. I looked heavenwards in times like this way because that's always my gut feeling, and that's how always I've worked. And I said, Lord, I'm a brand ambassador for Toastmasters, and I'm going to show them. And when I leave, they're going to love me. And I would tell them what Toastmasters is all about, a great organization. In the first 30 seconds, the claps came in. I probably took about 10 to 11 minutes to finish off.
Right.
It was resonating, and it was a whole lot of enthusiasm, excitement, claps. The vice principal from down was thumbing me up. And long after I finished and I walked down and the claps came on, and I sat down in my chair, and Mrs. Ansari looked at me and said, when we were walking back for our refreshments and escorted to the principal room, Mrs. Ansari reached out to me and touched mine. And I looked back and she says, Lancy, how did you do it? And I said, do what? She said, in all my years, I've come in here, but I've never heard a judge speak. What did you do? And I said, I took down notes because I evaluated all the 12 kids. And she said, you actually took down notes? And I said, yeah, but that's what we do. We evaluate people, right? And they need feedback, instant feedback. And I was giving that. She said, but you gave them wings and their parents. Did you know what you did there? You worked magic. I said, thank you very much. And then she said, you're blessed. And I choked at that time. You can beg, borrow, and steal, but you can't get people to say that you're blessed. And as I choked and I looked at her, she says, Lancy, you know you have a calling in life. And that was my defining moment. And I said, she said, you can be of service. And I think that's the time when I realized the best way to define yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others, including your family. And she says, you can give kids wings, and you can be the wind under their wings. You have something that you can give service back. That's how I realized that over the years, I've been giving back that service. So as a brand for Toastmasters, as a brand for Emirates Airline, you walk tall. There's a saying, why fit in when you can stand out? Why did I have to fit in that people thought I was a disruptor when I stood out for who I am, who I really am at that point of time? And that was a lesson that I learned that afternoon in 2001 in that room, multipurpose room, is when you get a calling in life and it becomes a defining moment and you know your purpose on earth. You use every trick in the book to give back society whatever skills and techniques you learn. And that lesson is called service. And you can beg, borrow, and steal, but very often you do not get a chance to be of service to the others. And when you do, always remember you're blessed on this planet. So you got to figure out, was I a disruptor, Avinash, Aki, at that point of time? Did it really matter to me? For me, I thought at that point of time that no matter what, someone is also always going to be unhappy, and you can't please people at times. So when you can't do that, does it mean that I am a disruptor in their scheme of things? It's all a thinking. On the other hand, when I'm a brand with a whole lot of self-confidence, self-esteem, and who I am, who I really am, and tall, proud, and I believe in this, which I have said, and I'm going to repeat that and reiterate again for a lot of people to remember that why shut yourself in
Yeah.
when you know you can stand out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm glad I asked this question on disruption, and thank you, Avinash, and thank you, Lancy, for giving me a different perspective. So when even when Avinash said that what are you doing differently, and the fact that you said, Avinash, which is when people don't find answers to questions that they've been looking for, they typically end up starting something of their own. And that takes me back to my decision of starting Samaksh, which is, I've been an anxious person, finding answers as to, what is holding me back? Why is this fear there? Who am I? What do I want to do in my life? And I think that's what I do through Samaksh, which is helping people overcome their fear, helping people overcome their anxieties, and helping them understand that being fearless doesn't mean not being afraid. It just means being aware of your fears and moving ahead. So yes, I think in a way, now if I reflect on what you said, maybe I'm disrupting fear, right? And going back to what Lancy said, which is why fit in when you can stand out. So I think if I connect it, I think Samaksh is helping people to stand out, because when the need to belong sets in, we get into the people pleasing mode, and that's when we disrupt our energy. So it's essential for us to connect to our core energy and move towards the path that we are destined to be on. So thank you, both Lancy and Avinash, for sharing your perspective on disruption. And I think it's been almost hour and 15, maybe I think 1 hour 15 minutes. With your permission, I think it's best to take a 2 minute break if the two of you are.
I was going to tell you, Akshay, let's do a part A and part B of this episode.
Yes, we
I was
could.
just going to tell you that because I think, the questions, right, that you have
Correct.
sent us
Right,
beforehand,
right.
when we discussed that, let's keep it like maybe like a 3 minute per question. But I
Hmm.
think that, and what Lancy also mentioned that, you
Correct.
know, while we have the time for that, right, but the
Right,
topic is such
right.
that it
Absolutely.
needs to be elaborated. Otherwise,
Yes,
it'll just be another session, another
it is.
podcast session, right?
It
Which
is.
will just
It
be
is.
like you ask, I answer, you
Yeah,
ask, we answer, you
yeah,
ask, Lancy answers.
yeah.
I think the conversation that we are
Mm,
having right now, I think the kind of insights that I'm also getting from
mm,
Lancy and from your perspectives, right?
mm.
Like in just one question about disruption, which was your pet peeve,
Correct.
we were able to change maybe 10% of your mind about it.
It is. It is. I think it's now. I think I'm seeing it in a different perspective.
Exactly. That is something what I think as influential people,
Mm,
you know, that is something what influential people do.
yeah.
I'm not saying I'm an influential person. No, I
Right.
still have a long way to go.
Correct.
But someone like Nancy, who has been in the
Yeah.
industry for
Yeah.
more than 2 decades now,
Right.
close to 3 decades, uh, when he shared his insight,
Mm,
not necessarily that can be termed as a disruptor, right?
mm.
But that was a sign of being a true influencer
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because being someone not from the fraternity, from the education space, right? To being invited as a judge,
Mm,
to having himself not expecting any accolades in the first
yeah.
10 minutes, to getting standing ovations,
Yeah.
to inspiring people, right? That is a sign of a true influencer. So,
Mm.
Nancy, I wouldn't want to term you as a small term as a disruptor, which is a confused terminology, but
Mm.
rather I would want to
Influencer.
term you as an influencer.
Absolutely. I second that. Yes,
Yes, I
indeed.
would want to term you that because influencer is not a confused term.
Yeah.
It is a term which is used to inspire people,
Mm.
to help them understand journeys, to
Yes.
help them understand initiatives to build. And I think that's why I resonate your journey as being an influential person rather than a disruptor because of the negative connotation that a disruptor could have.
Yeah. Mm. Yes, I think that is. So he definitely is an influential person there. And yeah, adding to my now, it's I think probably I'll be using it more often. The word disruption. So it's he kind of disrupted the perceptions, right? The wrong perceptions that people had.
Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, I think we could do that. I mean, if you want to break it into two parts, we could maybe shoot the next parts some other time.
I think I mean I honestly
Yeah,
think we should do it like a part one and part
True.
two,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
yeah.
we could do
your
that.
series,
Yeah, we
depending
could
on
do
the
that.
topic. And I am being biased about this topic because there's a lot to speak on
Yes,
this
it is.
topic.
It is. It is. It is.
And I think one episode wouldn't do justice to it. I
I
think
think we could do
when
that.
you release this episode
Yeah.
out first,
Yeah.
we should do a follow-up episode with the other questions.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Avinash. Because I think from here we've ended the topic on influencing, and then how do you move from influencer to more towards inspiring people. Then we get into personal transformation, which is your ability to communicate, ability to stand out, as Lancy said, and he keeps doing that. People have been uh, uh, participant, his own mentee there. I've seen it. I've been a witness to that. And then again, we take the conversations more towards dressing. How do you dress to kill, as they say, right? And how do you build that confidence? And kind of busting myths about personal branding, about transformation. And then we end it by giving people certain tips to focus on transforming themselves, focus on building their personal brand, just like the eagle.
Yeah,
Because the eagle story at the age of 40, that's what a midlife crisis is, when humans go through that. So I started Samaksh at the age of 40. So for me, it was either I do it now, it's either now or never. And I went through a personal, a painful transformation, and was able to start some holistic wellness, and help people along the way. So yeah, I think I completely agree. I think we need to have a part B, or a second episode of this podcast. So, yeah,
The
thank
and
you.
story can,
also I have
yeah,
made my notes, so I want to use all my notes.
Absolutely, I
the
think even
story continues.
yes, yes, the story continues, and we'll
Oh, you had.
yeah, it continues, while I'll keep my takeaways for the second episode. But the thing that stayed with me for episode one is obviously believe in yourself. While this is something that I keep doing through my sessions, but I think when Nancy said that, I think it took me back to my conversation with someone named Mr. Bhagat way back in 2013, where I was a part of a community there, sharing my stories, and I was going through a tough time professionally. He heard me, and he came to me and he said, Aki, you just need to be there, buddy. Just need to be there, because I believe in you. Do you believe in yourself? And
Hmm.
that changed my perspective about myself. And since then, there was no looking back. This was perhaps in 2013, 2014. Yeah. And what the thing that Lansky said, lose yourself in the service of people. Why fit in? And when you can stand out. And Avinash, I think it's all about being curious, finding answers to questions that have been haunting you. Because it's only when you become curious you move towards clarity. So I think with that we can end the episode one, or part one of this series. Thank you, Lancy, and thanks,
Thank you. And to the
Avinash.
audiences, stay
After,
tuned for episode
Yes,
two.
yes,
yeah,
Stay
yeah.
tuned for episode two because there is a lot more that is there that we can share with you guys so that you
absolutely,
can take things with you, ponder over it, and maybe you can
correct,
apply it to your life.
absolutely, and we hope that we have tried to change your perception about a lot of things, be it personal branding, be it transformation, confidence building, and my pet peeve, disruption.
And
All
we'll see
right.
you after the break.
Yes, we'll see you
Yes.
after the break. Thank
Break
you.
के बाद.
Break के बाद मिलेंगे.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.